Can everybody please get seated? Okay, so this talk is about the state of the art in decrypting the GSM encryption, which is called A5. Some of you may have heard a similar talk on a past conference by other people who said basically the same things. We have the means and we know how to do it. And that said things like, yeah, probably in May 2008 we will have a table, a rainbow table, to release so that everybody can decrypt GSM, but somehow this table never got released. That was the previous project run by THC, and that kind of petered out. So there were basically clear signs of interference from the government that may or may not have caused the non-releasing of the table. The fact is, THC tried to centralize the approach, basically calculating the table on a cluster of FPGAs and promising to release them, and which created a single point of failure, and that single point of failure failed. The table never got released. So this is basically the next try of getting GSM decryption into public hands, to know how it works, to show how insecure it is. And this is what Carsten is going to talk about now.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good to be here again. It's my pleasure to bring back this topic once again to a hacker conference and have once again the promise upstanding that in a few months from now we will be able to decrypt GSM traffic. As Frank was pointing out, there won't be a single point of failure this time, especially it won't be me. I'm going to give you all today's software, and I'm going to ask all of you to use that software to generate some tables that in a few months from now will enable us to decrypt cell phone, voice, and data. Okay, let's get going at that. A5.1, the cipher within GSM, has been broken over and over and over again in the academic domain. It has been shown to be statistically weak. It has been shown to be vulnerable to certain pre-computation attacks. It has been shown to be vulnerable to attacks where you only need short amount of known data, which is exactly where all these attacks break. Usually you don't have any amount of known data. So while this cipher has been broken over and over and over again, it hasn't actually ever been publicly broken. We know, however, that it is entirely possible. There's a commercial solution available only to the intelligence community, from what I understand, that will break A5.1 for you. And of course, there's the much talked about GSM cracking project that did have a roadmap of releasing tables to the public that broke at the very last minute. So we know, however, that there is a way of breaking A5.1. And we just took these bits and pieces and moved them in a more distributed, towards a more distributed approach, which is what I'm going to share with you today. First off, though, GSM is a very, very widely distributed technology. I would say the most widely distributed mobile technology existing so far. So a good chunk of the population of Earth is using this right now, which I was surprised by. At least Wikipedia is claiming this number. What we do know, though, is that when we go around the world with our GSM phones, they work pretty much in every country other than in Eastern Asia. So we're looking at a technology that a lot of people rely on for mostly privacy, but also data security in the form of authentication code sent through text message. GSM, for that very reason, always had security built into it. Even before the standard was first implemented, there was already a suite of encryption ciphers, and most countries chose to implement a reasonably secure cipher from their point of view. Now, this is a long time ago, and nobody would expect an industrial cipher to last this long. It has been keeping up pretty well, but statistical attacks were always possible. The first ones, shortly after this cipher was released into the public domain in '94. Now it's 15 years later, and we still don't have a proof of this actually being a problem. And due to that fact, more and more applications that are security sensitive adopt GSM technology as a security base. I was shocked to see that my current client is moving from RSA secure ID, hash chain tokens, to sending people text messages whenever they want to log into their secure email account. So people are moving away from reasonably secure, almost provably secure technology to a cipher that has been shown insecure 15 years ago. Other financial transaction applications adapting this in banking as well as payment, and so do access control applications. So this is a spreading security technology that everybody seems to be relying on because it was never publicly broken, right? As I was saying earlier, all the academic hacks rely on the fact that you know some part of known plain text, as they call it, meaning if you knew the first 2 seconds of a conversation, you could decode the rest of it. Now, when do you ever have the situation that you can record some of a conversation but not the rest, and record it in a way that would allow you to compute the compressed, condensed version that's going over the air? So this is an assumption that in reality never holds true, and especially doesn't hold true in text messages where there isn't enough plain text to begin with. So all of these academic hacks, as beautiful as they are mathematically, do not apply to GSM, but rather apply to the A5.1 cipher used within GSM, but not the way it is being used. Further along the road, as computational resources become cheaper and cheaper, it was shown that you could exhaustively try all possible keys for A5.1 with sufficient computational resources. Of course, if the incentives are high enough, this is actually a worry, but since we want to show this in kind of a do-it-yourself environment, that it's not even secure enough for micropayment, this attack might not be of concern. It's certainly still expensive. You need something like $100,000 cluster to break it within a day. So you can decode 1 text message per day with that machine. Then last year we were promised the rainbow tables, which from our point of view seems the best possible approach, even though it doesn't even exploit any weakness of A5.1 other than its small key size. And we still think this approach is viable, and we implemented tools to compute these rainbow tables, again, trying not to be intimidated in the same way that the original authors of this idea were. The process, as I imagine it going forward now, and most of this has been done already, find an as cheap as possible, as fast as possible engine that can crunch through A5.1 as efficiently as possible. Then use this